So what's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Today I'm going to hit you guys straight in the nose with some trad dad talk. And so I've always laughed at that that little I guess it's an acronym for trad dad. But I think that the more I get into this, the more I think that a traditional dad is the way that it's kind of supposed to be with a little spin. When it comes to investing in your future, whether you're talking about yourself, your business, or you're investing money, which the majority of my show is about investing, whether it's in yourself or investing in your future, whether it's debt, whether it's school, whether it's just whatever. It's all about investing. But I will say this, and I was on a Zoom this past week with a couple hundred dudes all over the world actually. This specific Zoom was called a surrendering Zoom, and what it was guys that were like, "Hey, I'm having trouble with this. What is the trouble?" And so the one kind of resounding thing is that their families were not involved in their day-to-day operations. Whether if it was a business or W-2, their families, their wives, their kids, they're what I call the circle. I'm a firm believer in circles. Who's in your circle? So today we're going to go and we're going to talk about those things, about why it's so important. My name is Gus Robertson. I'm the financial dad. A little background, I have 5 kids, 3 businesses. All 3 businesses are intertwined and connected. One fuels the other. All of them are financial based, between financial, commercial insurance, and then investment real estate for myself and my business partners. I've been pushing years now. I feel like it's been forever, but I've been pushing for years now to better and grow and build and learn. And of course, business gets better, just organic growth, it just grows. But when you're talking about the goals that I've set for myself with my action plan, which I find that this is a lot of guys' action plan, is is that it doesn't grow quick enough. And so the main reason that I have found just from just sitting in these Zooms is because you haven't involved the people that are in your daily circle. A lot of times that the people in your circle, whether or not it's your wife, your kids, your friends, but the people that really support you, a man usually likes to try and go alone. He wants to prove to everybody that he can do it. And the issue with that is that I don't think you can grow to the point where you want to grow and build if other people don't know what you're trying to do. It's kind of everybody else will just run interference on you and you won't know why. So the one aspect I never thought of working on was sitting down and including my wife and my kids and the people that really support me. I don't want to be told no. I want to be told, hey, let's put some thought into that. I don't want to be told no. I don't want to be told by people that I can't do something. I heard that shit all my life about this can't be done, which is a fear. And so whenever I kind of have that mentality, it makes you not want to tell people what your plans are, which is the wrong course of action. What I want to focus on is this is where I want to improve. This is my plan. For me, I always thought that I was the only guy on the planet that had issues, that I was behind, not doing enough, could do more. All the things that dads feel, especially if they're a dad running a business. You never think that you're where you ought to be. In 2021, I joined a group online called Superhuman Fathers. And it was filled with guys that were just like me, business owners, dads, husbands. And one thing that I noticed about all the guys that had been in the group for a while, all the guys that were winning, they talked a lot about who was involved in their circle. And it took me a long time to kind of like admit that to myself, that I was trying to roll solo and nobody wins solo. I talk about that a lot on this show, about how important it is to have a solid group around you. But even with me talking about that, it's only until recently that I figured out that the main reason why I was not growing in certain parts of my life was because I did not really have my wife and my kids and even other people in my family. You'll hear a lot of people talk about like your useless friends. So these are your friends that know your plan but don't really want to give you advice. They just want to be friends with you. And so those people are your support group, the guys that are going to tell you, good job, no matter if you did a bad job. When you fail, they're the guys that are just going to just push you up. Going back to my wife, she and I have 3 younger kids, all under the age of 7. My wife works full time. She's a nurse practitioner. And so you really don't want to bother somebody who's got a stressful job with your goals. It's hard to do that. But I think that my failure in my business was not including them in what my plan was. And I think that, and again, going back to the superhuman fathers, all the guys that were winning, their wives, once they brought them into the fold, it made their whole house happier. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And I said the word trad dad a little bit earlier, and I think that I used to fight that a lot, the traditional dad, because when you're doing things that are non-traditional, meaning like people that work a W-2 job and work 9 to 5, great, but that's just never been for me. So I always considered myself non-traditional, a rebel, kind of an outlier. Just I wanted to do things on my own and build on my own. So the more I fight being a traditional dad, the more I realize how important it is for me to be a traditional dad. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. And I'm not talking about the guy that just like pretends like there's nothing wrong in the world. What I'm saying is transparency. So what I'm trying to bring into my life is transparency, where I think that a transparent guy that is transparent with his wife, his family, he'll want to invest in himself. He'll want to invest in the future. It's kind of hard to be disappointed in yourself when you tell people that are in your circle what you want to do. Meaning like you actually sit down with them. You tell them what your plan is, no matter how far-fetched, no matter, Garrett White calls it the impossible goals, the impossible dream. That means that, like I heard this guy say it this morning, like the things I want to accomplish for myself. And then whenever somebody says, hey, what is the impossible of that? My brain can't even compute what the impossible of that is, because that goal that I've set for myself already seems impossible. But what is past that? What is the impossible past that? Whether or not it's a financial goal, an investing goal, a business goal, whatever it is. If I tell my staff, hey, we did $2 million last year in new business, and the impossible part of for 2025 is 10 million. How do you get to 10 million? You break it down and you break it down and you break it down. And that is the impossible dream. That is you can't do it by yourself. If you don't have the people in your circle that's supporting you, whether again it's your friends, your family, your wife, your kids, then what happens on that night that you have to work until 1 o'clock in the morning? Everybody's pissed. What happens on that weekend that you have to go do that thing that you don't want to do? What happens if you have to fly to San Diego for 4 days and nobody knows what you're trying to do and hitting goals? It's hard to do that. But you'll find plenty of people that will tell you that not to do it. And again, you want to surround yourself with the people that are going to help you reach those goals. And so that's why I like and being a traditional dad just means, to me, it means like communication. That's all it means. You want to be there for your wife, be there for your kids, and you want them to be there for you. And it's kind of hard to do that if you're not communicating. That's what was happening in my world. And whenever I say that, is that I never wanted to bother people with my problems. I didn't want to bother people with, like on my investing goals for the future, because I operate a business. I didn't want to tell anybody that I wanted to do this, or I wanted to buy this business or build my business this way. I didn't want to tell, like I've never told anybody that recently, except for my wife, dude, I just dropped a ton of money to join a group for 3 months because I need mentorship also. Whenever I say a ton of money, I don't even think people can fathom what a ton of money is. Whenever you're talking about, people say, oh, I hired a personal trainer and it was $1,000 a month. I would love for it to have been that. But that is what I am. And in order for me to make that move, the guy that I made the move with required my wife to be on board. It wasn't a solo decision. And it took me 2 weeks of talking with her and running through this for her to get on board, which was huge because now she holds me accountable to the goals that he and I have set. The impossible dream has been set. And I think a lot of guys, a lot of dads, traditional dads or whatever, we're all looking for somebody to hold us accountable. And when we don't, then when we fail, it's okay. There's nobody there. There's nobody to say, there's nobody to call us a loser. There's nobody, even if it's a joke, there's nobody to say, dude, I can't believe that you quit 2 weeks into it. The accountability part of it is huge. And the only people that are ever going to truly hold us accountable are the people that are in our circle. They're the only people that care enough. And so I think that in my world of what my podcast is about and my show is about is the impossible dreams. The impossible parts of what I'm trying to do and trying to coach people on is investing. You are trying to create something for the future that you can't even see. Isn't that the definition of impossible? I think it is. It is for me. But to be a rare and influential, I heard that this morning, meaning that to me, the new traditional dad is rare and influential, meaning that there are a ton of people out there that don't give a shit about themselves. They could care less. They're just kind of floating through the day and hoping that everything just kind of works out. And I just don't think that that's just not the answer. Whereas before, if you went back in history, you would see that people actually did communicate more. They did, whether they were in groups, men held men accountable. And I do believe that the world is trying to get back to that, but the sense of urgency to get to it, it's going to take a while. And and do we have time, whether or not you're 25 or 55, do we have time to wait 20 years for the world to get back to allowing men to hold men accountable? And the answer is no. So the only people there is your family. Your family and your circle is huge. To be a rare and influential traditional dad, there are 5 parts to your life that you have to work on simultaneously at all times. There's marriage, there's kids, there's business if you have a business. But if you don't have a business, you have a job. So there's marriage, kids, business, body, and financial. And you have to work on them all at the same time. It's hard to do that if you, again, I keep preaching this and keep saying it's hard to do it if you don't have a team that's working with you. And that team has to know everything. You have to it almost has to be written in stone, the steps that you're willing to take to make those things happen. And especially in the day, whenever it comes to marriage, I think about this a lot, how much I've not told my wife financially about our life. And I hear it a lot and about where, somebody will die. Oh, well, I didn't know anything about what was going on financially, and now I'm having to do this. Well, that's the systems that you created inside of your life, and it doesn't have to be that way. But I think that in order for you to reach goals, you do have to talk about it. You can't just trust that the other person is just going to do it. I think there's a war being fought against men to go against these 5 parts. I really do. There's a war. And maybe the war has always been there. Maybe it's always been a thing where, because I don't know what happened 50 years ago. I don't know what happened 30 years ago. I wasn't paying attention. But maybe there's always been a war against marriage. Maybe there's always been a war against a man being good with his kids. Maybe there's always been a war against business, and there's always been a war against a man being ripped and being lean and taking care of himself. I mean, the whole goddamn food in the United States is everything against a person being healthy. And then financial. There's so much goddamn nonsense on social media right now. Nobody knows what to do about anything. Nobody, in fact, nobody knows what to do about their marriage, their kids, their business, their body, or financial. And so I think that people cleaning that up, and then I'm not saying that I know everything, but I know a lot. And I can say that 99%, except for this is a 1%. So 99% about what you see on social media is nonsense. For example, like the body. Number one, again, I'm a dad. I didn't want to say this. I really debated about saying this, but you take somebody like David Goggins, the dude's a beast. Nobody disputes that. But I don't need to take some fucking advice from a guy that's not married, doesn't have kids, and what is the point? He's beating me up because I am married, I have kids, I have a business, I have a body, and I'm trying to increase my financial, and the dude has 2 of those. Why would I take advice from somebody who's going to whoop my ass like a drill sergeant in the military in something that he has no idea what I have to battle every single day? So I think that there is a ton of advice out there that just makes men just feel like shit. And instead of working and understanding that it's all important, you have to work on it all. Then if I only worked on my body for the next 60 days and then my marriage failed, my kids failed, my business and my financial, then what was the point? Because then at the end of 60 days or 90 or a year, my body is improved, but everything else has gone to shit. So it's all important. But here are some hard facts that most men feel every day. And this is, again, the beginning of this show, I said, hey, this is going to be some stuff that hits people in the nose. If your marriage sucks or could be better, if your sex life sucks, then more than likely it's because of communication and you're just being a disappointment to your family. I mean, I've been through it. I know exactly what it feels like. Until I brought my wife into my fold of of what my plans were business wise and financial, she always felt like she was excluded. But I just think that most people, especially in marriages and kids, they just want to be included. And I think that that's just one part of it. If you don't have a good relationship with your kids, what I found, because my kids are of different ages, again, 20, 17, 7, 3, and 1. So the dynamics there of my house are, I've got 3 women that are telling me something to do all the time. And it's not all bad, but I have learned that the majority of the time, the reason why my relationship with them suffers is because they don't know what I'm doing. They don't know what my goals are, my financial goals are. My kids, my son, and really all of my kids, even my 20-year-old wants to see me as the hero. They don't want to see me as somebody that's not doing what I said I was going to do. Point blank. That's it. And everything about what my daughters do in the future will be what I showed them a man should be. That's a hard pill to swallow. It really is. And it's a lot of pressure. But I think that a man keeping all that to himself and not doing what he says just leads to disappointment, which makes everything else suffer. And if those are 5 tenets of a man's life, tenets are like a stoic term, but tenets of financial, body, all of those things, and your kids, your relationship with your kids have failed, then you as the parent, that's your job to correct that. And I think that bringing them into your circle of things that are going on in your life would help with all that. Business, there will be periods in your life where you feel like your business is running you. I think that I still feel that now, and I'm 15, 16 years deep into this, and 20 years deep with being in the financial world. But as a business owner, I think that there will be late nights. There will be early mornings. There will be times when you're out of town. But I promise you this, if you do not communicate this with your family, there's 100% of the time they won't understand, and they will always hold it against you. And so I think that the business part of it means that if you want the business part of it to make it, then the communication part with your family is the only way to make it happen. The body is probably the biggest one. The impression that a man has of himself is huge. How you treat yourself, how you treat your body, how you treat your mind, investing in yourself and making yourself better. It doesn't reap a financial reward in a man's mind. What it does is that it makes you not disappointed in the way that you present yourself to the world. It's huge. I have never once met a man that did not invest in himself and his body and his mind that felt like that he was a disappointment to the world. But I've met plenty of guys who don't hold themselves accountable or are not getting better that were very disappointed in themselves. And I keep saying this on every show. A man that is disappointed in himself physically will not invest in the future. It's huge. It's a fact because they see no point. It's a version of like apathy. No matter what I do, nothing's going to get better. And so they wake up a certain way, they go to bed, and all of it is fueled by disappointment. But I think it's really important that if you communicate, if you're married and you have children and you're like, damn, I'm tired of this. I am sick of feeling like shit, acting like shit. And everybody in my family, the trickle down effect is everybody in your house is going to feel and look like shit if you look like shit. There is no other way. If you are a healthy dude, and there has to be some statistic about this, but if you're a healthy dude and you treat your body and your mind and what goes in your mouth, if you treat yourself like shit, then more than likely everybody in your house is doing the same thing because everybody's going to do what dad does. Again, I will just say that a disappointed man is not going to work on himself. Financial, everything about those other 4 parts goes into financial. The more I grow into like this financial dad moniker and the more that I like research and study and educate myself on financial, there's way more that goes into it than just taking $1 and investing it into the future. You have to want to do it. You have to see the possibilities. You have to set the impossible dream for yourself. And if it's not worth it, meaning you don't see the future as a possibility, then you're not going to do it. If you don't see the future as something that is worth investing in, then you will not do it. If you're going back, if your sex life sucks, you're not going to invest in anything. If your marriage sucks because you're not communicating, you're not going to invest in anything. Nothing is worth it. And the same thing, it trickles right on down with business and financial and exercise and kids. So the dads with the absolute worst lives are the dads that don't communicate with their circle about what their plans are. I think that men get in the providing zone. I mean, I've done this before. We've all done it. We want to make sure that our families have great lives. We want that to happen so much we will kill ourselves to do it. If you don't believe that, test this, because it's 100% true. For if there's any wives or women listening to this, go home, tell your husband or your dad or a friend of yours, hey, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, that you're trying to do. We had a great Christmas, and we know that that's because of the sacrifices that you made. Dude, that dude will kill himself. The very next day, he will wake up early, he will leave the house, and he'll go and try and conquer the world to come home and get that again. That's how all men work. Every one of them. I don't care what age you are. 90, all the way down to my 7-year-old son. If I go home and I tell my 7-year-old son, hey, dude, I'm proud of you. I saw you doing this. You did well on that painting. You did well in school. And then his mom comes behind me and does the same thing. Dude, I got chill bumps thinking about this because that's exactly what he does. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about it right now. This dude will kill himself to get those accolades again. That's how all men work. I can't answer for women, but that's how all men work. On the exact opposite. Tell a man he's doing a shitty job. Keep after him. Tell a man he's doing a shitty job, and he will basically retract. And he won't talk with you about anything. He won't talk to you about business. Even if he sucks, he's trying to get better. Even he won't talk to you about business, his plans, his body, his circle, and he will bring people into his life that basically just agree that he sucks. And so a trad dad that's trying to be, and I keep laughing, but a trad dad that is trying to really make it in the world and do better and expand those 5 tenets of his life, he will do that if he has a solid circle around him. It's inevitable. He can't lose. In his mind, he cannot lose if a dad knows that his wife and his kids and his friends that are good friends are behind him. It's impossible, good or bad, good or bad. I think that the key in today, I mean, for me, I love being a dad. I really do. I never thought I would call myself a trad dad, but the more I say it, the more I know that the traditional dad is actually gone. The dad from 50 years is gone. Today's dad is making a comeback. The trad dad is making a comeback. I believe that the guys that are trying to get ripped and fast and lean, whether or not that it has anything to do with your business, those are just words. But whether or not it's got anything to do with your business or your family, it's all the same. I want my family to see me as a hero. If I die tomorrow, I want my wife to stand at my funeral and say, this dude gave every goddamn thing he had. Everything. And I think that is the most, and you know what? I want my wife to know and tell me that I did everything that I could. That's what I want my last dying breath to be, is for my wife and my family to be like, damn, this dude gave all. And that's important to me. And I will fight every single day to try to get those accolades. But the only way that they know what I'm trying to do is if I tell them. You're not going to make it unless you do that. Working a plan with your family, even if the plan seems impossible. You know, I talk a lot about, and Garrett White talks a lot. You should research Garrett White. Garrett White talks about the impossible dream. And again, it's kind of hard for you to compute what that means because it's so impossible that once you set that impossible dream, you go 10x above that. And even if you don't reach it, imagine everything that you learn and everything that you grow and everything that you change about your life on the way to trying to reach that impossible dream. And I think that that's where just a lot of people just get complacent and they just kind of die inside the impossible. They lose focus of what the impossible dream is. Whether or not it's paying off debts, making a solid financial plan, the thing that will kill a man inside is thinking that he's got to do it alone. I think that and I hate to be the end on a somber note like that, but I think that every man, again, kind of goes back to what I said before. If a man's got a solid team behind him, and a woman too, my wife wants a solid team. She wants me behind her. She wants our kids behind her. but I think that people will excel with a solid plan with people behind them that are pushing them. If you have any questions about today's show or need some resources in regards to what we talked today, then leave a comment below or send us a message and we will get back to you. Appreciate you guys watching.